people are going to say, aren't you scared of Drake? Aren't you scared of Drake Aubrey and his Goonies? Well, not really. They tried to scare me a few years back in 2017. I've said in previous videos, Drake they tried to murder me inside of the correctional center, which I was just a passer through. Through my waiting for the courts or whatever, I had accidentally bumped into a lifer who happens to be related to to Drake, and that it was all a setup from the get-go or whatever. Drake, I believe, had felt intimidated by my brother John Gotti's musical success, as well as my success in just business in general. And that's where they tried to assassinate me, but due to my strength and my knowledge, I was able to easily defend myself. And Drake actually had gotten his front teeth hurt or whatever, because he was trying to scare me and had invaded my personal space, and that's a big thing, and it always has been. But we know social distancing, and he was hovering over my face, and he was making this weird smile. It was sort of like this smile that I guess he expected me to be scared of, but that wasn't the case. And then I was assaulted by his cousin JJ or whatever. At the time, unexpectedly, it was more of a sucker punch. I never started any fights. The only thing they can say is that I stole an orange from JJ or something. But I never stole an orange. The actual story is I had an orange given to me in my lunch tray while I waited to attend court. And I had held on to this one orange in my pocket. And this was robbery that JJ then tried to do over this one orange. JJ then got mad that I wouldn't give him my orange, and then I was assaulted unexpectedly over the one piece of fruit. And you know, I'm a gentleman that in the outside world, let me see here, is used to having boxes of oranges. So I had no idea the gruesome and violent nature that would ensue over that singular orange. But I'm glad to be back out in society where we have we have these boxes of oranges and things. Because, well, that was the reason why he had originally assaulted me inside the jail over just one singular orange. And I don't really know what else to say. Drake, that was Drake's chance on the assassination of me. And I had to, you know, he hit me really hard that one singular time about that orange. You know, people think that it was only a one-time thing. He sucker punched me the one time, and then I should have known. Now I know how desperate these individuals are, and that's his excuse. He hasn't been charged. I never charged that individual because of intimidation within that correctional center at the time. I unfortunately wasn't able to charge that individual, even though I want to. There was intimidation to the point where my life was in danger. where I was not able to, and JJ is a much larger individual, but it wasn't just JJ, it was also a lot of people that I would consider to be biased and illegally robbing me of my money and my rights and my life, my freedom and all that, which is illegal. It's called the intimidation. It's a law. And those people can thus be charged under the Criminal Code of Canada with intimidation, as well as the United States. There is a law on intimidation. You can't threaten or threaten or then put upon violence or damage to any person or property in retaliation or in preemptive retaliation to that of somebody that wants to press charges. That is an indictable offense and liable to imprisonment for a term of not more than 5 years, or you will be considered guilty of an offense punishable by on a summary conviction, who wrongfully and without lawful authority for the purpose of compelling another person to abstain from doing anything that he or she has a lawful right to do, such as charge an individual for an assault, or anything to do that he or she has a lawful right to abstain from doing. Here's an example A. When a suspect uses violence or threats of violence to that person, who that was me, or their intimate partner or children, or injures the person's property. They did actually cross that line, and they did steal and injure my property, such as my electric bike and some other property, such as some electronics and things. They also did intimidate my brother, who's a sibling, as well as my family, such as my mother. So it's a multiple charge, indictable case. With this one, you would look at maybe 10 counts of intimidation, and then you got that robberies and then the assaults and things. It's a nice group of charges on this one here. We've already taken out Rowan Atkins. We're on top 5, and this is the next set of individuals that we're coming after. Example B, intimidates or attempts to intimidate that person or a relative of that person by threats, which has been happening all the way around, my aunts and uncles, by threats that in Canada or elsewhere, violence or other injury will be done to or punishment inflicted on him. So, for instance, if it's a corrupt judge that's intimidating and they are threatening that of punishment such as time to be served and things, that's also a charge of intimidation upon the judge, which has been happening. Or anybody of my relation, or even thus of my possessions or property. Example C, persistently follows that person. That's happening. That's another charge, stalking. D, hides any tools, clothes, or other property owned or used by that person, or deprives him or her of them, or hinders them or her in use of them, such as when I was in jail, they denied me my right to a copy of the Charter and Rights and Freedoms. That would be another charge of intimidation. And we have hides any tools. There was a small pocket knife that was hidden and used to intimidate me by ways of actual mutilation, which is another charge called mutilation. Okay. Uh, Mutilation is a criminal offense consisting of the intentional maiming of another person, which was done to my face, which is highly documented within the courts, within the jail system, as well as within society. You can quite possibly, I don't know if you can search it up from here, but I have some pictures online. They're really hard to find. They're on my Instagram, and I have some pictures of that mutilation that was done to my face. It's really hard here. You can see a picture of the mutilation here, as well as my tooth, which had to be. It's on my Instagram. It's just hitting the Google now. Let me see here. It is just hitting the Google now. I can pull it up on Instagram. It might be on also on my YouTube channel here. It's going to be all the way down. I might be able to find it on the Instagram better, but I have X-rays as well as documented insurance claims that have had to be paid by the government of Canada for this mutilation of my tooth as well as my face. Two separate assaults. We have a mutilation, assault with an assault, two separate charges. You could even consider it, I think they wouldn't do attempted murder because he had stabbed my face, and not my vital area. But the only reason they didn't get to a vital area was because I was able to retrieve to safety that day. I did not defend myself with any sort of force that day. I had simply only tried to retrieve to safety. Here you can see I had to have a dental surgery that cost a lot of money. Here's the tooth here. You can see a very large chip. This is not only mutilation, but this is also damages to my personal life, financial, that being a family also, as well as my future with any sort of romance, and that needs to be paid for in damages. I want at least a few $1 million from this family in regards to the damages that they did with that mutilation and intimidation and assaults and corruption that they did. And the government is slowly but surely paying for it. The government had to pay for this surgery, and they will remain to have to pay for these surgeries for the remainder of our life, or my life in general. Now, if you kill me because of that fact, that is the charge of murder. And if you're conspiring to kill me for that fact that you will have to pay this settlement, that would be conspiracy to commit murder, and that's an indictable offense. But as you can see here, a large chip of my front tooth. As you can see, all my other teeth are perfect. I've never been a drug addict of any hard drugs. This was a fracture of my tooth. More than just a fracture, a complete loss of teeth because of that assault. That's not only. We have blocks or obstructs a highway. That's something Justin Trudeau has been doing, and I believe Justin Trudeau is along with these individuals. If you can pull it up, Justin Trudeau blocked the oil pipeline out in Alberta. Okay, that would be a charge on Justin, an indictable charge on Justin for his affiliation with that Drake, that JJ, that Project Prezi, and all that. So we have Justin on an indictable account of quite possibly intimidation. Now, we don't have much evidence on Justin, but that's the only thing that I can sort of point to. There was a photo that came up where he had blocked or obstructed the pipeline, which is considered technically a highway of oil, which happens to be owned by my family. So that goes along with by if we're talking genealogically, my family are well drillers, and I happen to be related genealogically to those people, and that's how I think they're thinking. So the reason why he obstructed that pipeline had something to do with my family. So there was that another highly valuable piece of property that was thus intimidated upon, that goes along with this attempted assassination within that correctional center, as well as these falsified charges that also charges the judge with intimidation due to punishment inflicted. And that is not all the charges. This is just the case in which I speak upon the charge of intimidation, mutilation, and assault.